Welcome back to my Agrabah Palace Dungeon toy box. I'm Professor Toybox, and I've got Officer Judy Hops of the ZPD with me, Zootopia Police Department. Today I'm going to show you how to build a covered pit. Here's what this trap looked like in the alpha footage of the Disney Infinity 4.0 Kingdoms project, which is what this toy box is based on. Pushing a button opens the trapdoor that causes the guards to fall into a pit. Building this trap in the 3.0 toy box posed a bit of a challenge. The only trapdoor building piece that I could find was this piece in the Agrabah set, but there's no way to make a logic connection to it, so I can't use a button to open it. And it won't open automatically when an enemy walks over it. So I tried to build my own trapdoor by attaching a large floor block to a path and making the floor descend at a rapid pace when a button is pressed. The problem here is that the enemy AI doesn't recognize the block. It thinks there's nothing there, so the enemy never steps on it. The only way that I could find to implement this was using a replayer to put down a terrain block and remove it. So that's what I did. So I've got a button that I've set up here to trigger the trap, and down below we have a logic gate, a replayer, and a time delayer. And we need all three of these to make this work. And I used the magic wand temporarily here, just so that you could see those. So the first thing I want to do, let's go ahead and we're going to need to set the default texture for the terrain blocks. And I'm going to use the same one as these pieces I put down earlier. So we'll come into the Style menu, and I'm going to scroll left, and I'm looking for Dusty Crophopper's Runway, and I'll set that to be my theme. And cancel out of that. And then I'm going to come down to the replayer, and I'm going to set the playback interval to 0. And then we'll go ahead and step on the replayer. To open the menu in the lower right, I'll press B on my Wii U to start recording, and I have to step off to open up the editor again. And we're going to put this block right down here in this hole, and I want it flush with the rest of the floor pieces. And I'll exit, and then I'll come back to the replayer, step on it, press B again to stop recording, and I'll press A to clear, and Y to put it back. Alright, so now we have a floor piece here, and as far as the guards are concerned, it'll work. It's just like another floor piece that's sitting here, another terrain piece, so it shouldn't cause them any trouble. Now to hook this up, one of the things we have to be careful when we're using the replayer is we have to be very careful not to clear it multiple times, or we'll corrupt the replayer. And so that's why I have the logic gate here. And so when the player pushes the button, I don't want to go directly to that replayer, because if the player pushes this twice, I can corrupt it. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a new logic connection on the button, and we'll come down to the replayer, to the logic gate rather, and we're going to input into that gate. And then on the logic gate, new logic connection on output, we'll come over to the replayer and clear it. And now the advantage of that logic gate is that I can set up another logic connection on the replayer here. So new logic connection. When it's cleared, I can come back to the logic gate and close the gate. And so that'll prevent the player from pushing that button multiple times, which will clear the replayer multiple times. And so it ensures that that replayer only gets cleared one time. So pushing the button will clear the replayer, which will take the block out of here, and any enemies that are standing on this block will fall into the lava pit. Now, what I want to do is put the floor back after a bit of time in order to reset the trap and cover the pit back up again. And so I'm going to use a time delayer for this. So I'm going to come over to the time delayer, and under the properties, I'm going to set the delay time to be about 8 seconds. We'll try that. 8 to 10 seconds I think is fine. 5 might be a little bit too short to reset the trap. But we'll give that a shot. And so on the replayer, new logic connection. When it's cleared, not only will we close the logic gate, but we'll come over to the time delayer and start the delay. And then when the time delayer goes off, new logic connection, when the delay is completed, we'll come back to the replayer and we'll do a playback, which will put the floor back. And we'll also come up here and new logic connection, delay completed, come back to the logic gate and open it. And that way we've reset it. The floor will be back. This logic gate is open so the player can push the button again. And so now we've already got the button hooked up. We've got everything hooked up. Let's go ahead and drop an enemy down here and we'll see what happens. We'll put a few of them down. Oops. And reset that drawer on me. I had it set right on the Agrabah guard. Alright, so let's drop couple of them back over here, and as you'll note, they'll walk right across the floor surface, which is precisely what I want. So then we can come up here and when we push the button, the floor disappears, the guard falls to his death, and when the time delayer goes off, now the floor is back. And of course, as you see, we kind of run into the same problem here that we've already seen, and that is waiting for an enemy to walk across the pit. But I implemented another decoy to lure the enemies over, and so it's hooked up exactly like the one that I did earlier. And if you want to see how I did that, you can review episode 28. And I've set up this townsperson sidekick door to toss the sidekick in, and that will cause a decoy duck to show up on top of the covered pit like you saw in episode 18 in the playthrough video. And then the guards would come running over there, and I don't have my sidekick right now. Let's go ahead and put him in. And it doesn't matter, we'll just put Alice in for right now. Where'd you go, Alice? So when we put her into there, the lure should show up. Now we just need the guard to detect it. Problem is, he's probably detecting me. If I go into the editor mode, that should take me out of his detection range. And then I'll come back in and exit. And now he's stuck on that trap. Let me go into the editor again and see if this gets him unstuck. Nope. Another video goes horribly wrong. You can plan these things out and have it scripted exactly how you want it to go, but yeah, the toy box has other ideas sometimes. There they go. Now they're running for the decoy. And now I can push the button, and down he goes. That guy jumped in on his own. He tried to leap towards the decoy and didn't make it. So that was funny. But anyway, that's how I built the covered pit trap. I think it's great that we can recreate so much of the 4.0 alpha footage gameplay in the 3.0 toy box. Using these traps to defeat the enemies is a lot of fun, and it's a nice alternative to just battling them all the time. I've got one more trap left to build, where we let a powerful dungeon prisoner loose for the guards to battle, and I'll do that next time. And then the following week, I'll do the tutorial on the satellite receiver, and I'll show you how I use it to open up the desert entrance back in the Agrabah City toy box when we find the scarab here. And then I'll put the finishing touches on the palace dungeon, and we'll move on to the Agrabah desert. That's all for me today. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.